This is Danny Bonaducci, and you are listening to InYourHeadOnline.com.
Do you think your views on life in general, like your outspokenness, do you think that kind of held you back in WWE? Maybe they were anytime like afraid to push you towards all the way to the top?
I've absolutely always felt that because I'm somebody that doesn't budge a whole lot when it comes to certain things. Like I don't compromise my principles. I'm a man of integrity, and I feel like I know enough to where I don't need somebody else telling me what I should be thinking. I take offense to that. I'm a stand-up guy, and because of that, because of the way that I choose to remain, I always felt like I would be capped. I could only get so high in WWE. I never thought I'd be world champion. I never saw that coming, and that was circumstantial for the launch of the new ECW, which was great. But honestly, to get ahead in WWE, the guys that make it to the top usually use a formula that involves politicking. It involves kissing ass. And when you can't rise up too high above anybody else, then you start holding everybody else down, and you cut their throats and you stab them in the back. You take the writers out and smooze them and give them your ideas and tell them why they should do this with you. And hey, that's all good business. That's what that works. It works, but that's stuff that I won't do, and therefore I figured I could always only get so high on the ascension on the ladder in WWE, but that was okay with me because once I went through the curtains, it was all about me interacting with my fans. That exchange of energy couldn't be taken from me or from the fans. No matter what happened before I came through the curtains, it was all real and up to me at that point. And that's the one thing that I probably do miss a little.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up with that. Is that something that you miss? Is like the high from the crowd, or performing in front of the fans?
Sure, that's something, but I don't want to show everybody that I can do backflips anymore. Not in that same manner. There's other ways too. I've got a lot of projects on the table, and I'm working on a lot of projects right now. I got myself pretty spread out. A lot of it isn't really ready to be talked about yet, but it's stuff that is outside of wrestling. I still want to reach out to people. I still get energy from their support, their feedback, their love, but I want to reach out and inspire people to think, to be individuals. I want to be a motivational speaker someday. That's going to be something that I'm going to do. I'm not saying full time like that's what I'm going to switch to doing, but that is definitely in my path. And that's something I'm more excited about than returning to the ring. So, yeah, I miss that energy from the crowd and stuff, but after a while I felt like it was monotonous and meaningless to go out there every night and to do, spin kicks and backflips night after night after night after night after night. I appreciate that the fans didn't think of it the same way and that they would still come out and support. I just no longer understood why.
We get a call here. We get Mike on the line.
Hey, what's
up, Mike?
How you doing, man? It's an honor to talk to you. Thank you.
Right on, dude.
This question probably isn't the best one to ask after you just said you didn't want to show people you wanted to do backflips anymore, but it's directly related to backflips, so I just wanted to ask you anyways.
Sure.
I just wanted to say, I was just wondering, in your documentary, you mentioned that you did a backflip off your high school.
Right.
And it was to impress everyone. I was just wondering about how high up in the air did you think that was?
The roof that I did the backflip off of, I guess it was probably close to like 9 or 10 feet maybe. It was high enough to where my buddies held their, I stood in my buddies' hands and they boosted me up so that I could like grab the ledge and then pull myself up. I knew that I could land it. My comfort zone is a lot wider than a lot of other people's. Sometimes that's dangerous. Sometimes I feel like Superman, like everyone around me is vulnerable but me, but it's a hell of a curse. And I just, I used to argue with my principal. I used to say, wait a second, now if I can walk down the hallway on my hands just as good as you can on your feet, then why shouldn't I be allowed to do that? And I've had a hard time, understanding things like that my whole life. I'm a nonconformist. I don't really think I fit into I don't think there can be just one set of rules and guidelines that fits everybody. Because as I've said, we're all individuals, That backflip, I knew I'd nail it. Bam! Half the school saw it. It was a perfect landing. They went and told the other half, and they came out and I had to do it again. So I got suspended for it and had to spend my lunch hours, in the lunchroom for the rest of the school year after that. I wouldn't recommend it, but at the same time, I probably don't resent it. Probably don't regret it.
I'll try that.
Don't be trying that at home, Mike.
Nah, I don't think I could do it on my bed. Is it okay if I ask another question?
Sure. Well, it's hard for me. I don't know.
All right. Well, I was just wondering, did you ever wish to have, Fonzie with you when you came in to the WWE?
Yeah, a lot of times. You know, he came in at the One Night Stand, the ECW pay-per-view, and I was pulling for him. Sabu was pulling for him. We were talking to the higher-ups about bringing him in. I don't know how deep the interest went, because at one point, you know, he thought that there was a chance he might be working with us, and I don't know if that was everybody's thought or if there might have been someone all along that knew it wasn't going to happen, you know. So, unfortunately, we didn't get to work with Fonzie, but I still hope that somehow, some way or another, that I'll work with him again in the future. I actually visited him when I was down in Florida over the last few months, you know, and so I popped out the camera, said, "Say hi to RVD TV, Fonzie." You see him on the trailer. When you go to RobVanDam.com, the 3-minute trailer pops up. You see, "Fonzie, Daddy." You saw him, right?
Daddy.
Yeah.
I got to go check that out.
Yeah, you also see Samoa Joe on there, which is a pretty cool segment. Yeah, thanks for calling, Mike.
I also see who? You also see who?
Samoa Joe, who you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Samoa lives in Newport, you know, which is not too far from me, and our mutual close friend is Justin McCauley, who's a mixed martial artist, and so a lot of times we work out together, so we hang out together, whatever. So that surprised a lot of people too.
Would that have been something you would have pursued, like if it would have been bigger, like when you started wrestling MMA?
Oh, if MMA would have been around when I was 18, there's no way you could have stopped me from it. There's no doubt about that. I was all about that. I was hungry to learn more, to fight better and better people, you know, to gain experience, and I had a pretty solid one-track mind, you know. So I have no doubt, and now I have all the respect in the world for it too. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Did you see Brock Lesnar's debut?
Of course. Of course. And I predicted that he was gonna win, that he was gonna squash Frank Mir. Props to Mir. That was a beautiful leg bar that he got him, and I've watched that over and over so many times in slow motion, and you can see him building up, going in for it, you know, so much earlier, setting up for it. The guy's a technician, but the ref made a horrible call, stopping both guys, standing them up, and then deducting a point from Brock for hitting him in the back of the head. That was a bad call. Everybody that I talked to agrees that was a bad call. And we don't know what would have happened had they not stopped the fight. We don't know. You can watch any of the fights leading up to that and see way many more hits to the back of the head. And maybe sometimes they get a warning. You don't stand them up. You don't take a point away. That was weird, and it totally saved and helped Mir at that moment, and I believe there's a damn good chance that might have changed the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Do you think some people who don't follow MMA and they see that Brock lost in like 98 seconds, whatever it is, and they say, oh, he's no good at it, they don't really just don't understand it?
Probably so, but if they're people that didn't see it and are just reading about it, then who really they don't really qualify to give too many people their opinion anyway, so there's always going to be critics, and there's people now, saying the same thing, and the people wanted Brock to lose, they wanted him to lose when he tried out for football, they wanted to label him as a pro wrestler when in fact he only did that for like 3 or 4 years out of his whole life, that's how people label them. Myself, people think me as a wrestler, which is fine. I think of myself as a wrestler too, but I happen to know that there's another 95% of me that people don't know, and I happen to believe there's probably a good chance that Brock or anybody else has other sides to them too. People like Ric Flair that truly want to be in the business their entire lives, or people that marry into the business and have their wives and their sons and their daughters and everybody working it. Well, their priorities are just like the same they are. That is the most important thing to them, and that's where all their energy is. Brock, he wrestled for a few years professionally. He was an amateur, great, state champion, national before that, he's been doing MMA, for a couple of years. So you can't underestimate the guy. And obviously, even though he fell to that awesome knee bar, he was looking pretty dominant.